The ancient gate floated in the darkness of space, silent and forgotten. It had been there for thousands of years, maybe millions. Nobody knew who built it or why it stopped working. The gate was a massive ring of strange metal that did not rust or decay. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with a blue light that never dimmed. Commander Tae Yang stood on the bridge of his science vessel, staring at the gate through the main view screen. He had spent 3 years searching for this artifact. The Vrelian Empire wanted ancient technology, and Tai Yang was their best scientist. He was tall for a Vrelian, with gray skin and 4 arms that moved constantly as he worked. His eyes were sharp, always analyzing and calculating. "Begin the scan," Tai Yang ordered. His crew moved quickly, operating their instruments with practiced efficiency. The science vessel moved closer to the gate, its sensors reaching out to touch the ancient structure. "Commander, the readings are incredible," said his assistant, a young Vrelian named Kiha. "This gate is still functional. The power source is still active after all this time." Tae Yang felt excitement rise in his chest. A working gate meant travel across vast distances in seconds. It meant power for the Empire. It meant glory for him. Back on the Vrelian homeworld, Empress Haiwan received the news in her throne room. She was beautiful by Vrelian standards, with silver skin that reflected light like metal. Her crown was made from the bones of her enemies, a tradition among Vrelian rulers. She sat on her throne and listened as Tae Yang's report played on the holographic display. "A functional gate," she said softly. Her advisors stood around her, waiting for her decision. "Where does it lead?" "We do not know yet, Your Majesty," said the communication officer. "Commander Tae Yang is working to decode the destination coordinates now." General Boram stepped forward. She was old for a Vrelian warrior, her skin covered in scars from 100 battles. She had served the Empire for 50 years and had seen many foolish decisions. "Your Majesty, I advise caution. We know nothing about what lies on the other side of that gate." Empress Haiwan waved her hand dismissively. "General, you worry too much. The Empire has conquered 100 worlds. What is one more?" Boram bowed her head but said nothing more. She had learned long ago that the young Empress did not like to hear warnings. For 6 months, Commander Tae Yang and his team worked on the gate. They studied the symbols, analyzed the power flows, and slowly began to understand the ancient technology. The gate was more advanced than anything the Vrelian Empire had ever built. It was more advanced than anything any known species had built. Kiha worked beside Tae Yang day and night. She was brilliant with languages and patterns. While Tai Yang understood the technology, Kiha understood the symbols. Together they made progress. "I think I have it," Kiha said one day, her voice tired but excited. "The symbols are not just coordinates, they are a warning." "A warning?" Tae Yang looked at her screen. "What does it say?" Kiha read slowly, translating as she went. "Beyond this gate lies a world of warriors, a world that knows no peace, a world that will not bow. Do not wake them, do not call them. Let them sleep in their corner of the galaxy." Tae Yang felt a chill run down his spine. Then he laughed. "Ancient superstition. Every primitive world tells stories to make themselves sound dangerous. What are the actual coordinates?" Kiha hesitated, then entered the final calculations into the computer. The gate's destination appeared on the screen. It was a solar system far from Vrelian space, in a quiet arm of the galaxy that no one had ever explored. The system had a yellow star and several planets. One planet, the third from the star, showed signs of civilization. "Atmosphere is nitrogen and oxygen," Kiha read from the scanner data. "Temperature ranges suggest liquid water. Radio signals detected. Technology level appears to be early industrial, possibly early space age. They have artificial satellites and basic spacecraft." "Primitive," Tae Yang said with satisfaction. "Very primitive. Empress Haiwan will be pleased." The report reached the Vrelian High Council within hours. The council chamber was a massive dome where the Empire's most powerful leaders gathered. Empress Haiwan sat at the center, surrounded by military commanders, scientists, and nobles. A primitive world with resources, said Lord Jinho, the Empire's chief economist. The scans show vast oceans, fertile land, and a population of only 7 billion. They have not even colonized their own solar system fully. An easy conquest, said Admiral Dongmin, commander of the Third Fleet. We can take the planet with minimal force. Their weapons are chemical propellants and crude explosives. Our shields will easily protect us. General Boram stood up. I must protest. We know nothing about these people except what our sensors tell us. The warning on the gate should not be ignored. The warning is thousands of years old, Empress Heiwan said coldly. Written by a dead civilization that probably fled from their own shadows. General, your caution is noted, but unnecessary. We will open the gate and send a reconnaissance fleet. If the primitives resist, we will show them the power of the Vrelian Empire. The vote was called. Only General Boram voted against opening the gate. She was outvoted 15-1. Commander Tai Yang received the order to open the gate. He stood before the massive ring with his entire crew watching. Ships from the Vrelian military had arrived, a small fleet of 20 vessels ready to cross to the other side. This is a historic moment, Tai Yang said to Kiha. We are opening a door that has been closed for millennia. I hope we are ready for what is on the other side, Kiha replied quietly. Tai Yang activated the gate's power system. The ancient symbols began to glow brighter. Energy flowed through circuits that had not carried power in ages. The center of the ring began to shimmer like water, and then it opened. A swirling vortex of blue and white light filled the gate, connecting 2 points in space that had been separate for longer than any living being could remember. Captain Jun Wu commanded the reconnaissance fleet. He was a career military officer, confident and experienced. He had led successful campaigns against 3 different species. He knew how to deal with primitives. All ships prepare for transit, Jun Wu ordered. Shields at maximum. Weapons ready. We expect no resistance, but stay alert. The 20 ships moved forward in formation. One by one they entered the gate. The journey took only seconds. They emerged near a red planet, the 4th planet from the yellow star. The primitive world was ahead of them, a blue and white sphere hanging in the darkness. Jun Wu smiled. It looked peaceful. It looked defenseless. Begin scanning operations, he commanded. Find their population centers, find their military installations, and send them the standard message. The message was simple. It had been used 100 times before on 100 different worlds. It demanded immediate surrender. It demanded tribute. It demanded submission to the Vrelian Empire. The fleet waited for a response. Captain Jun Wu expected fear. He expected confusion. He expected begging. What he got instead would change the galaxy forever. On the blue planet, alarms began to sound. Military bases on every continent went to full alert. Shipyards that had been building civilian vessels suddenly shifted to war production. Missile silos that had been quiet for decades opened their doors. And Admiral Hyansu, commander of Earth's Space Defense Forces, looked at the alien ships on his screen and gave a simple order. Battle stations. All forces engage. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Captain Jun Wu watched his screens as the scanning data came in. The primitive planet was busy with activity. Ships were launching from the surface. Radio signals filled the space around the planet. Every military installation on the surface had gone active. They are responding to our message, said his tactical officer. But not with surrender. Good, Jun Wu said with a laugh. I enjoy it when they try to fight. It makes the conquest more satisfying. What weapons do they have? The tactical officer studied his instruments. Chemical rockets, Commander. Armed with atomic fission warheads. Very crude, very old technology. Our shields will absorb the impact easily. On Earth, the situation rooms were filled with chaos and noise. Every major nation had received the alien message at the same time. The United Nations had called an emergency session. Military leaders from every country were on video calls, shouting and arguing. Admiral Hyun-soo sat in the command center of the United Nations Space Command, watching it all with calm eyes. He was 52 years old, a career military officer whose grandparents had left Korea to seek opportunities in America. He had risen through the ranks through skill and determination. Now he commanded humanity's small but growing space force. "Sir, we have 20 alien vessels in formation near Mars," reported Lieutenant Sung Ho. "They are scanning our planet. Their weapons are active. What is their shield strength?" Hyunsu asked. "Unknown, sir. We have never encountered alien technology before. Our scientists are analyzing their energy signatures now." Hyunsu stood up and walked to the large screen that showed Earth's orbital space. He could see the icons representing human ships and stations. There were not many. Humanity had only been in space for less than a century. Their ships were small and their weapons were basic. But humans had something the aliens did not expect. They had fought each other for thousands of years. They knew how to make war. "Launch all available ships," Hyunsu ordered. "Bring the UNSC Defiance to full combat status. Load all nuclear missiles, and get me a communication line to those alien ships." The communication officer worked quickly. A signal was sent to the alien fleet. Captain Junwoo received it with amusement. "They want to talk," he said. "Put them on screen." Admiral Hyun-soo appeared on Junwoo's view screen. The alien captain studied the human with interest. 2 eyes, 2 arms, skin that was not gray but a brownish color. Very primitive looking. "I am Captain Junwoo of the Vrelian Empire," the alien said in translated language. "You have received our message. You will surrender now or face destruction." Hyun-soo looked at the alien without fear. "I am Admiral Hyun-soo of Earth. We do not surrender to threats. Leave our solar system now or we will remove you." Junwoo laughed loudly. His crew joined him. "Remove us with what? Your chemical rockets? Your primitive explosives? We have conquered 100 worlds, human. You are nothing." "Then you have nothing to fear from us," Hyun-soo replied. "But I warn you one last time. Leave now." Junwoo cut the communication. "Continue scanning. Target their major cities. Prepare to fire a warning shot at their moon. Let them see what real weapons can do." But before the Vrelian ships could fire, Earth struck first. From hidden positions on Luna, Earth's moon, massive railguns fired. The projectiles were simple tungsten rods, but they moved at incredible speeds. They had no explosives, no warheads. They did not need them. Kinetic energy alone made them deadly. The first rod struck a Vrelian scout ship before its shields could adjust. The ship exploded in a ball of fire and debris. Captain Junwoo jerked in his seat as alarms blared. "Report!" he shouted. "Scout 7 is destroyed. We are detecting launches from multiple locations. Incoming missiles." Nuclear weapons, dozens of them, were rising from Earth's surface. More were launching from hidden bases on the moon. The Vrelian shields could handle a few nuclear explosions, but not this many at once. Then the UNSC Defiance appeared. It was a military ship built in secret over the past decade. It was not elegant like Vrelian vessels. It was blocky and ugly, designed for function, not beauty. But it was fast and it was armed. Hyun-soo commanded from the bridge of the Defiance. Targeting solutions locked. "Fire all weapons." The Defiance carried a mix of human weapons, missiles with nuclear warheads, railguns that fired metal slugs at high velocity, laser systems designed to blind enemy sensors, and one experimental weapon that nobody was sure would work, the electromagnetic pulse cannon. When it fired, it sent out a wave of energy that disrupted electronic systems. The Vrelian ships, with their advanced computers and sensors, were hit hard. Systems failed. Shields flickered. Ships that had been in perfect formation suddenly drifted out of control. Captain Junwoo could not believe what was happening. 2 more of his ships exploded as human missiles found their targets. A 3rd ship lost power and began tumbling through space. "Return fire." Junwoo screamed. "All ships, return fire!" The Vrelian fleet unleashed their weapons. Energy beams and plasma bolts shot toward the human ships. The Defiance took several hits. Its armor held, but the ship shook violently. Hyun-soo held onto his command chair as sparks flew from damaged consoles. "Damage report," he called out. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7. Shield generator 1 is offline." "Casualty reports coming in." Lieutenant Sung Ho shouted over the noise, but the human ship kept fighting. More missiles launched. More railgun rounds fired. The Defiance moved in patterns that confused the Vrelian targeting systems. Human pilots had trained for years in combat simulations. They knew how to fight. Captain Junwoo realized with growing horror that his fleet was losing. He had lost 5 ships already. 6 more were damaged. The primitive humans were winning. "All ships retreat to the gate," he ordered. "Emergency withdrawal." The remaining Vrelian ships turned and ran. They jumped to faster than light speed, fleeing toward the safety of the gate. The human ships pursued for a while but stopped at Mars. They did not have faster-than-light travel. They could not follow beyond the solar system. Admiral Hyun-soo stood on the bridge of his damaged ship and watched the alien vessels disappear. Around him, his crew was cheering. They had won. Against impossible odds, humanity had won its first battle against aliens. But Hyun-soo did not cheer. He looked at the casualty reports. 2,000 humans dead, 3 ships destroyed, orbital stations damaged, parts of Earth hit by debris from destroyed alien ships. This is not over, he said quietly. They will come back. And next time they will bring more ships. Lieutenant Sung-ho looked at him with concern. What do we do, sir? We prepare, Hyun-soo said. We build more ships. We make more weapons. And we get ready for the war that is coming. On the Vrelian homeworld, Captain Junwoo stood before Empress Haewon. He was shaking. He had never been defeated before. He had never run from a battle. But he had no choice. 5 ships destroyed, the Empress said coldly. 8 more damaged. Against a primitive species that barely knows how to leave their own planet. Explain this, Captain. Your Majesty, the humans are more dangerous than we thought, Junwoo said, his voice trembling. Their weapons are crude but effective. They fight with no fear. They attain se. Haewon stood up, her anger filling the room. I do not accept excuses. The Vrelian Empire does not retreat. We do not lose to primitives. General Bo-ram stepped forward. Your Majesty, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans have shown they will fight. Maybe diplomacy. No, the Empress said firmly. We will assemble the full invasion fleet. 500 ships. We will crush this human world and make an example of them. The galaxy will see what happens to those who defy the Vrelian Empire. In a small room in the military academy, a young cadet named Min-ah watched the recordings from the battle. She studied every moment, every movement of the human ships. She saw how they fought with coordination and courage. She saw how they sacrificed themselves to protect their world. And she wondered if the Empire was making a terrible mistake. But she said nothing. She was just a cadet. Nobody would listen to her. On Earth, Admiral Hyun-soo looked at the stars through the window of his hospital room. He had been injured in the battle, but he would recover. Outside, he could see construction crews working on new ships. Factories were running day and night, building weapons. The whole planet had united. Nations that had been enemies for generations were now working together. Everyone understood the threat. Everyone knew what was at stake. Hyun-soo's door opened. A UN official entered with a young woman in military uniform. She saluted sharply. Admiral, this is Captain Da-yoon. She will be commanding the new destroyer we are building. Hyun-soo looked at the young captain. She was Korean like him. She had hard eyes that had seen combat. Can you fight, Captain? He asked. Sir, I can fight, Da-yoon replied firmly. And I will win, Hyun-soo nodded. Good, because they are coming back. And when they do, we need to be ready to show them that Earth is not afraid. The Vrelian Empire had not assembled a fleet this large in 50 years. 500 warships gathered in orbit around their homeworld. Each ship carried thousands of warriors. Each ship had weapons that could level cities. Together, they represented the full military might of an empire that had conquered half a galaxy. Empress Haewon walked through the shipyards, inspecting the preparations. Her personal flagship was being outfitted with the most advanced weapons the Empire possessed. She would lead this invasion herself. She would personally witness the destruction of the humans who had dared to embarrass her empire. When will we be ready? She asked Admiral Dongmin, who walked beside her. 3 months, Your Majesty, he replied. We are gathering ships from every corner of the Empire. We are pulling troops from garrison duties on conquered worlds. This fleet will be unstoppable. General Bo-ram watched from a distance. She did not like this plan. She had reviewed the battle recordings from Captain Junwoo's fleet. She had studied the human tactics. The humans were clever and resourceful. They fought with a desperation that Vrelian warriors had forgotten over centuries of easy conquests. But nobody asked for her opinion anymore. She had spoken against the war too many times. The young empress saw her as old and cautious. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps Bo-ram had lived too long and seen too much death. On Earth, the changes were happening faster than anyone thought possible. Every nation had mobilized their industries for war. Factories that made cars now made tanks. Shipyards that built cargo vessels now built warships. Scientists who worked on civilian projects now designed weapons. The United Nations building in New York was crowded day and night. Delegates from every country met in constant session. Arguments that used to take years to resolve now took hours. The threat from space had done what centuries of diplomacy could not. It had united humanity. Ambassador Youngja from South Korea stood before the General Assembly. She was 60 years old with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent her career working for peace. Now she was working to prepare for war. "We have confirmation that the aliens are assembling a massive fleet," she told the assembly. "Our intelligence suggests 500 ships, possibly more. They will return in approximately 3 months." The room erupted in worried conversation. 500 ships. Earth had barely survived against 20. "What are our options?" asked the ambassador from Brazil. "We fight," Youngja said simply. "We build as many ships as we can. We train as many pilots as we can. We prepare every weapon we have, and we make the cost of invading Earth so high that they will regret ever finding our world." "But can we win?" asked the Russian ambassador. Youngja was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I do not know, but I know we will try, because the alternative is surrender, and humanity does not surrender." The vote was unanimous. Every nation committed their resources to Earth's defense. Money that used to go to social programs now went to military spending. Young people who were in college now joined military training. The whole planet became an armed camp. Admiral Hyun-soo had recovered from his injuries. He now commanded Earth's defense from a new command center built deep underground in Colorado. The center was designed to survive nuclear strikes. It had communication links to every military base on Earth and in space. He stood before a giant screen that showed the construction progress. 30 new warships were being built, hundreds of smaller fighters and bombers, thousands of missiles, orbital defense platforms, everything humanity could build in 3 months. "It is not enough," said Lieutenant Sung Ho, who had been promoted to commander after the first battle. "It never is," Hyun-soo replied. "But it is what we have." "How are the new pilots training?" "They are eager, sir. Every flight school on Earth is running at capacity. We have 10,000 qualified pilots now, but most of them have never seen real combat." "They will learn fast," Hyun-soo said grimly. "War is a harsh teacher." Captain Da-eun commanded the new destroyer Indomitable. It was one of the fastest ships in the human fleet. She had been training her crew for 2 months without rest. They ran combat drills every day. They practiced emergency procedures until everyone could do them in their sleep. Da-eun pushed her crew hard because she knew what was coming. She had seen the recordings of the first battle. She knew that many of them would die, but she also knew they had to be ready. "Captain, you should rest," said her first officer, a young man named Woo Jin. "You have been on duty for 18 hours. "I will rest when Earth is safe," Da-eun replied. "Run the combat drill again. Faster this time." In Vrelian space, Cadet Minna continued her studies at the military academy, but she was distracted. She kept thinking about the humans. She kept wondering if there was another way. Late at night, she accessed the military database. She should not have been able to get in, but Minna was very good with computers. She found the detailed plans for the invasion fleet. She found the tactical data. She found the communication codes, and she made a decision that would haunt her forever. She copied everything to a hidden data storage device. The information was treasonous. If she was caught, she would be executed. Her family would be disgraced. But she could not stand by and watch a war that did not need to happen. Minna did not know what she would do with the information. Not yet. But she knew that somehow she had to get it to the humans. The Vrelian fleet neared completion. Empress Haewon held a great ceremony on her flagship. Thousands of warriors gathered to hear her speak. She stood on a platform, her crown glittering under the lights. "Warriors of the Empire," she called out. "We have been insulted by primitives. We have been challenged by species that should bow before us. This cannot stand. We will cross through the gate and we will destroy the human world. We will take their resources. We will enslave their population, and we will show the galaxy that the Vrelian Empire is still the greatest power in existence." The warriors cheered. They beat their weapons against their shields. They were eager for battle. They had been told the humans were weak. They had been told this would be an easy victory. General Boram stood in the back silent. She did not cheer. She looked at all the young warriors and wondered how many of them would come back alive. On Earth, the final preparations were complete. Admiral Hyun-soo gathered his senior officers in the command center. On the screen was a star map showing Earth's solar system and the defensive positions. "They will come through near Mars just like last time," he said. "We have positioned our main fleet there. We have mines scattered throughout the approach routes. We have missile platforms hidden on asteroids. We have every ship we could build ready to fight." Major Sojin, commander of the elite Space Marines, studied the map. What if they do not follow the same path? What if they come through and immediately jump to Earth? "Then we fall back to the inner defense ring," Hyunsu replied. "We have weapons positioned around Earth itself. Lunar bases are armed and ready. Every nation has their military on standby. If they reach Earth's atmosphere, we will make them fight for every meter." Captain Daon raised her hand. "Sir, we are outnumbered 25-1. Even with home advantage, the mathematics are not in our favor." "The mathematics have never been in humanity's favor," Hyunsu said with a slight smile. "We are a species that should have died 1,000 times in our history. But we are still here. We survive because we refuse to give up. We win because we fight harder than anyone expects." He looked at each of his officers. "In 3 days they will come. In 3 days we will face the greatest threat humanity has ever known. Some of us will die, many of us will die. But we will make them remember Earth. We will make them regret ever finding our world." The officers saluted. They returned to their ships and their posts. They said goodbye to their families. They wrote letters that would be delivered if they did not survive. Ambassador Yongja stood on the observation deck of a space station, looking down at Earth. The planet looked peaceful from here. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It looked like a paradise. She thought about her children, safe in a bunker in Seoul. She thought about her grandchildren, too young to understand what was happening. She thought about all the billions of people on Earth who were depending on soldiers and sailors and pilots they would never meet. "Please," she whispered to the stars. "Please let us win." On the Vrelian flagship, Empress Haewon gave the final order. "Begin transit. The fleet will pass through the gate in formation. Shields at maximum. Weapons ready. We will show these humans the true power of the Empire." The gate opened. 500 ships began moving toward it. It would take hours for them all to pass through. But once they were on the other side, the invasion of Earth would begin. In the military academy, Mina watched the fleet depart. She held the data device in her hand. She had made her choice. She walked quickly to the communication center. She had to send a message through the gate before it closed. She had to warn the humans. She had to give them a fighting chance, even if it meant she would be branded a traitor forever. Mina's hand shook as she typed on the communication console. The academy was nearly empty. Most officers and cadets had left to join the invasion fleet. Only a skeleton crew remained to maintain the base. She had maybe 10 minutes before someone noticed what she was doing. The data device contained everything: fleet formations, shield frequencies, weapon specifications, command codes. Tactical weaknesses, everything the humans would need to defend themselves, but how could she send it? The gate was opening. The fleet was passing through. Any transmission she sent would be detected by fleet security. She would be caught before the message reached the humans, unless she was very clever. Mina accessed the gate's control systems. The gate was ancient technology, far more advanced than anything the Vrelians had built. Most of its functions were still mysterious. But Mina had studied it for years. She knew things that other Vrelians did not. She found what she was looking for: a secondary transmission channel built into the gate itself. It was designed for sending navigational data, but it could carry other information too. She compressed all the tactical data into a tight package. She encrypted it with a simple mathematical code that any spacefaring civilization would recognize. Then she embedded it in the gate's own transmission signal. To anyone monitoring, it would look like normal gate operations. "Come on," she whispered. "Just a few more seconds." The upload completed. The data was sent through the gate, riding along with the ships passing through. By the time anyone noticed, it would be too late. Mina erased her access logs and walked quickly away from the console. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it might burst. She had just committed the greatest treason in Vrelian history. If caught, they would not just execute her. They would erase her name from all records. Her family would be destroyed. She would become a ghost, but she kept walking. What was done was done. On the other side of the gate, Earth's deep space monitoring stations detected the gate activation immediately. Alarms sounded throughout the solar system. "Gate is opening." Lieutenant Commander Wu Jin reported from his monitoring station. Energy signature is massive, much larger than last time. Admiral Hyan-Su stood in the command center watching the displays. This is it. Send the alert to all stations. Battle positions. May God have mercy on us all. Throughout Earth's solar system, ships moved to their assigned positions. Weapon platforms powered up, missile batteries loaded. Millions of military personnel ran to their stations. On Earth itself, billions of civilians retreated to bunkers and shelters. The first Vrelian ships emerged from the gate in perfect formation. Then more ships, then more. They kept coming, an endless stream of warships that filled the space near Mars with their massive presence. Captain Dayun watched from the bridge of the Indomitable. She had never seen so many ships. It was like watching a metal storm emerge from nothing. Count? She asked quietly. Still coming through, Captain, her tactical officer reported. We have confirmed 200 vessels so far. Still more emerging. On the Vrelian flagship, Empress Heiwan looked at the scans of the human defensive positions. She smiled coldly. They have gathered their entire fleet to meet us. How brave. How foolish. General Boram, you will lead the vanguard. Destroy their ships quickly. I want to be in orbit around their planet by tomorrow. Boram bowed stiffly. As you command, Your Majesty. But as she walked to the command deck of her ship, Boram felt a deep unease. She had reviewed the tactical data from the first battle. She had seen how the humans fought. This would not be the easy victory the Empress expected. The human fleet waited, 30 capital ships, 200 smaller vessels, thousands of fighters and bombers, against 500 Vrelian warships. Then something strange happened. A data packet arrived at the human fleet's communication center. It was embedded in the gate's own transmission signal. The communication officer almost deleted it as noise, but something made her look closer. Admiral, we are receiving an encrypted transmission. Source unknown. It appears to be technical data. Hyan-Su frowned. In the middle of a battle? Show me. The data appeared on his screen. Mathematical sequences. Engineering diagrams. Shield frequency patterns. It took him only seconds to understand what he was looking at. This is intelligence about their fleet, he said, his voice filled with wonder. Someone is helping us. Decode everything immediately and send it to all ships. Commander Sung-Ho worked frantically to process the data. Sir, this is incredible. It shows weak points in their shield systems, optimal attack vectors, even their communication codes. With this information, we can coordinate our attacks much more effectively. Who sent this? Hyun-Soo wondered aloud. Does it matter? Captain Da-Yoon asked over the communication channel. We have it now. Let's use it. The Vrelian fleet finished its transit through the gate. 500 ships now filled the space between Mars and the gate. They formed into attack groups ready to sweep away the human defenders. General Boram commanded the vanguard, 100 ships strong. She studied the human positions and gave her orders. All ships advance at battle speed. Shields forward. Target their capital ships first. We will break their line in one assault. The Vrelian vanguard moved forward. They were confident. They were powerful. They expected an easy victory. What they got was a carefully planned ambush. The humans had used the intelligence from Mina to position their forces exactly where they would be most effective. They knew the Vrelian shield frequencies now. They knew the weakest points in their formations. They knew everything. Hidden weapon platforms opened fire first. Railgun rounds moving at incredible speeds struck Vrelian shields at precisely calculated frequencies. The shields flickered and failed. Ships that thought themselves protected suddenly found their armor exposed. Then the missiles came, hundreds of nuclear warheads, launched from positions throughout the defensive zone. They did not target randomly. They targeted specific ships at specific points. The exact locations where the Vrelian intelligence data said they were most vulnerable. General Boram watched in horror as 12 of her ships exploded in the first 10 seconds of combat. Return fire, she screamed. All ships, evasive maneuvers! But the humans were already moving. Their ships used thrust patterns that the Vrelian tactical computers did not expect. They attacked from angles that should have been impossible. They coordinated their strikes with perfect timing. Captain Da-Yoon led a squadron of destroyers in a high-speed attack run. The Indomitable moved like a dancer, weaving between enemy fire. Her weapons officer had programmed their systems with the enemy shield frequencies. Target acquired, the weapons officer reported. Firing. The Indomitable's main gun fired a focused energy beam at a Vrelian cruiser. The beam passed through the shields as if they were not there and struck the ship's reactor core. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "Next target," Dayun ordered calmly. "Keep moving. Do not give them time to adjust." On the Vrelian flagship, Empress Haywan could not believe what she was seeing. Her vanguard was being torn apart. Ships were exploding. Formations were breaking. The humans were fighting with a coordination and knowledge that should not be possible. "How are they doing this?" she demanded. "How do they know our tactics?" Admiral Dongmin checked his tactical displays. "Your Majesty, they are targeting our weakest points. They know our shield frequencies. It is as if they have access to our own tactical database." "That is impossible," Haywan shouted, but it was not impossible. It was happening. Major Sojin led her Space Marines in boarding actions against damaged Vrelian ships. Her troops wore powered armor and carried advanced weapons. They moved through the alien vessels like ghosts, sabotaging systems and gathering intelligence. "Team 3, plant charges on the reactor," she ordered over her helmet communication. "Team 5, secure the bridge. We need their computer core intact." The Vrelian crew fought back desperately, but the humans were relentless. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this. They fought with a fury that shocked their enemies. General Boram managed to regroup her remaining ships and pull back to the main fleet. She had started with 100 ships. She now had 68. In less than an hour, the humans had destroyed or disabled 32 warships. "Your Majesty, I recommend we reassess our strategy," she reported to the Empress. "The humans have information about our fleet. We need to change our approach." "No," Haywan screamed, her composure finally breaking. "I will not be defeated by primitives. All ships, advance! Full assault! Crush them!" The entire Vrelian fleet surged forward. 468 warships moved toward the human defenders. It was a wave of metal and energy that seemed unstoppable. Admiral Hyan-Su watched them come. His fleet was already damaged. They had lost 8 ships and many more were wounded. But they had hurt the enemy. They had shown that Earth could fight. "All ships fall back to secondary positions," he ordered. "Activate the mines. Prepare the trap." The human ships retreated, drawing the Vrelian fleet forward. The aliens pursued, hungry for revenge. They moved into a region of space that seemed empty. The minefield had torn the Vrelian formation apart. Ships that had been in perfect military order now drifted in chaos. Some collided with each other. Others fired wildly at shadows, hitting their own allies. The disciplined invasion force had become a panicked mob. General Boram tried desperately to restore order. "All ships, cease fire! Reform on my position. Do not fire unless you have confirmed targets." But it was too late. The humans were among them now. Captain Da-Un brought the Indomitable screaming through a gap in the enemy formation. Her ship's weapons fired continuously. Every shot was aimed with precision at the weak points the intelligence data had revealed. Vrelian ships exploded around her as she passed. "Target their command ship," Da-Un ordered. "The big one in the center. If we can take out their leadership, the rest will break." Her crew worked with desperate speed. The Indomitable's reactor was running at 110% capacity. The ship was shaking from the strain, but they had to keep fighting. Commander Wu Jin, serving as her tactical officer, locked onto the Vrelian flagship. "Target acquired. Range is extreme. We will only get one shot. Make it count," Da-Un replied. The Indomitable fired its main weapon, a massive railgun that ran the length of the ship. The projectile was a tungsten rod weighing 3 tons. It left the ship at a significant fraction of light speed. On the Vrelian flagship, Empress Haywan was screaming orders at her crew. Everything was going wrong. Her fleet was being destroyed by primitives. It was impossible. It was humiliating. "Your Majesty, incoming projectile," the tactical officer shouted. "Impact in 5 seconds. Shields to maximum. All power to..." The rod struck the flagship's shields. For a moment, the shields held. Then they failed. The projectile punched through the ship's armor like it was paper. It passed through 3 decks before striking the main reactor. The flagship exploded in a ball of nuclear fire. Empress Haywan died instantly, along with 3,000 members of her crew. The command structure of the entire invasion fleet died with her. General Boram watched the flagship explode from her own command ship. For a moment, she felt nothing. Then she felt relief. The young Empress had led them into this disaster. Now she was gone. Perhaps Boram could salvage something from this catastrophe. This is General Boram to all Vrelian ships, she broadcast on all frequencies. I am assuming command. All ships fighting retreat. Fall back to the gate. I repeat, fall back to the gate. But the human fleet was not done. They pursued the retreating Vrelians with relentless fury. Admiral Hyun-soo coordinated the attack from his command center. His face was grim as he watched the battle displays. The Vrelians were broken. They were running. Now was the time to ensure they could never threaten Earth again. All ships, maximum pursuit. Do not let them regroup. Every ship we destroy now is one less ship that can come back later. Throughout the solar system, human forces pressed their attack. Fighter squadrons harried the larger Vrelian ships. Missile platforms fired their remaining weapons. Even damaged human ships that could barely move continued to fight. Captain Ji-won commanded a small corvette called the Stalwart. Her ship had been hit 3 times and was barely functioning. Half her crew was dead or injured. But she saw an opportunity. A Vrelian dreadnought was trying to retreat. It was massive, 10 times the size of her corvette. Its shields were down and its engines were damaged, but it was still dangerous. And it was heading toward a refugee convoy carrying civilians fleeing from the Mars colonies. All hands, this is the captain, Ji-won said over the ship's intercom. Her voice was calm. That dreadnought is going to fire on the refugee ships if it gets in range. We cannot allow that. We are going to ram it. Her remaining crew looked at each other. They knew what this meant, but not one of them protested. It has been an honor serving with you all, Ji-won said. For Earth, for Earth. Her crew responded. The Stalwart accelerated to maximum speed. The damaged engine screamed in protest. The ship shook violently as systems failed, but it kept moving faster and faster. The Vrelian dreadnought's crew saw the corvette coming but did not understand the threat. A small ship ramming them would do minimal damage. They ignored it and continued targeting the refugee convoy. The Stalwart struck the dreadnought's reactor core at full speed. The impact was catastrophic. Both ships exploded in a blast that could be seen from Earth. Captain Ji-won and her entire crew died instantly, but the refugee ships escaped safely. 3 colonies were saved because of her sacrifice. 50,000 people lived because she chose death over watching them die. The retreat of the Vrelian fleet became a rout. Ships that tried to stop and fight were destroyed. Ships that fled too slowly were caught and killed. Only the fastest and luckiest survived. General Boram managed to keep her command ship intact through skill and experience. She retreated in good order, covering the escape of as many ships as she could, but there were so few left. Status report, she ordered. Her tactical officer's voice was shaking. General, we have lost 487 ships. Only 13 made it back through the gate. Boram closed her eyes. 500 ships, the pride of the Vrelian Empire, all destroyed in a single day by a species they had called primitive. Continue retreat, she ordered. Maximum speed. We need to get word back to the homeworld. On the human side, the victory was complete but costly. Admiral Hyun-soo received the final casualty reports with a heavy heart. 18 capital ships destroyed. 67 smaller vessels lost. Estimated casualties, 120,000 dead. 300,000 wounded, so many dead. So many families who would receive the news that their loved ones were not coming home. But Earth had survived. Against impossible odds, humanity had won. Send a message to all ships, Hyun-soo ordered. Well done. Return to base for repairs and medical assistance. And tell them. Tell them they saved Earth. Tell them history will remember them. On Earth, celebrations erupted in every city. People poured into the streets crying and laughing. They had won. The aliens were defeated. Earth was safe. Ambassador Young-ja stood in the UN building watching the crowds through the window. She was crying, but she did not know if they were tears of joy or sorrow. Yes, they had won. But at what cost? Her assistant approached. Ambassador, we are receiving requests from other nations. They want to know what we do next. Do we pursue through the gate? Do we negotiate? Do we prepare for another attack? Young-ja wiped her eyes. We do all of those things. But first we mourn. We honor the dead. We remember what they fought for. In space, the debris field stretched for millions of kilometers. Wrecked ships, both human and Vrelian. Bodies floating in the void. The aftermath of the greatest space battle in human history. Major So-jin led recovery teams through the wreckage. They searched for survivors and recovered the bodies of the fallen. It was grim work, but someone had to do it. "Major, we found something," one of her Marines reported. "A Vrelian escape pod. It looks intact." So Jin approached the pod carefully. It could be a trap. But when they opened it, they found only a single Vrelian, badly injured but alive. The alien looked at the human soldiers with fear in its eyes. It expected death. But Sojin simply gestured for her medics to help. "Get medical attention," she ordered. "This one is a prisoner of war. We will treat them according to Earth's rules of war." The Vrelian looked confused. You spare me? Why?" "Because that is what civilized people do," Sojin replied. "We fight to protect ourselves. But we do not kill prisoners. Maybe you should tell your leaders that when you go home." Back on the Vrelian homeworld, news of the defeat spread like fire. The population was in shock. An entire invasion fleet destroyed. The Empress dead. It was unthinkable. The High Council met in emergency session. Without the Empress, they needed to choose a new leader. General Boram stood before them, still in her damaged battle armor. "The humans are more dangerous than we imagined," she told the council. "They fight with coordination and courage. They have weapons that are crude but effective, and they will not surrender. If we send another fleet, we will only lose more ships." "Are you suggesting we give up?" asked Lord Jinho, outraged. "I am suggesting we stop this madness before the Empire falls," Boram replied. "We have lost too much already. We need peace, not more war." The council erupted in argument. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted peace. Some wanted to pretend nothing had happened and return to normal. But everyone knew that things would never be normal again. In the military academy, security forces came for Minna. They had traced the intelligence leak back to her. She did not resist. She had known this moment would come. As they led her away in chains, she thought about the humans. Had her information helped them? Had she made a difference? She would probably never know. But she hoped she had saved lives, even if it cost her own. On Earth, Admiral Hyun-Soo stood before a memorial wall. Names were being carved into it. The names of everyone who died in the battle. So many names. Too many names. Captain Da-won stood beside him. Her ship had survived, but many of her crew had not. "Was it worth it, sir?" she asked quietly. 3 weeks after the battle, Earth was still recovering. Medical facilities were overwhelmed with wounded soldiers and civilians. Factories worked day and night to repair damaged ships and replace destroyed ones. The dead were buried with honor. Life slowly returned to something like normal. But in the military command centers, a debate raged. Admiral Hyun-Soo stood before a room full of generals, admirals, and political leaders. On the screen behind him was an image of the gate, still open and glowing in the darkness of space. "The question before us is simple," he said. "Do we wait here for the next attack? Or do we take the fight to them?" General Kyung-soo of the Korean Space Force spoke first. "We cannot sit and wait. They will come back. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but they will come. We need to strike first, show them that attacking Earth has consequences. But we know nothing about what lies beyond that gate," argued General Roberts of the American military. "We could be walking into a trap. We could face an even larger fleet. We could start a war with an entire galaxy." Ambassador Youngja raised her hand. "May I speak?" Everyone turned to her. She stood up, her face serious. "We have already started a war," she said. "When they came through that gate and demanded our surrender, the war began. We did not choose this, but we cannot ignore it either. If we do nothing, we look weak. Other alien species might decide Earth is easy prey. We need to show strength, but at what cost?" asked the Chinese delegate. "We barely survived the last battle. How many more will die if we go through that gate?" Admiral Hyun-Soo spoke quietly. "Many will die. War always has costs, but I would rather fight them there than wait for them to come here again. At least if we go through the gate, Earth itself will be safe." The debate continued for hours. Arguments flew back and forth. Some wanted peace. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted security. Everyone had different opinions. Finally, a vote was called. It was close, but the decision was made. Earth would send a fleet through the gate, not to conquer, but to ensure that the Vrelians could not threaten Earth again. Preparations began immediately. A fleet of 200 ships was assembled. It included the best ships humanity had built and the most experienced crews. Admiral Hyun-Soo would command personally. Captain Dayun's destroyer Indomitable was selected for the vanguard. She gathered her crew and gave them the news. "We are going through the gate," she told them, "into unknown space, against unknown enemies. Some of us will not come back. Anyone who wants to transfer to another assignment, now is the time." Not one person left. Her crew had fought beside her in the great battle. They would follow her anywhere. Major So-Jin prepared her special forces teams for ground operations. If they encountered enemy bases or installations, the Marines would need to secure them. She trained her soldiers in close combat, demolitions, and alien technology capture. "Remember," she told them during a briefing, "we are not conquerors. We are defenders. We go through that gate to protect Earth, not to build an empire. We fight with honor. We treat prisoners with respect. We are humans, and we will show the galaxy what that means." On the Vrelian homeworld, the situation was chaotic. The High Council could not agree on a new leader. General Boram had support from the military, but the civilian leaders did not trust her. They blamed her for the failure of the invasion, even though she had warned against it. In the midst of this chaos, one person was forgotten. Minna sat in a prison cell waiting for her trial. She had been charged with treason. The evidence was clear. She had given military secrets to the enemy. The penalty was death, but something unexpected happened. A group of young Vrelian officers, cadets who had studied with Minna, began speaking out. They argued that Minna had tried to prevent an unjust war. They said she was a hero, not a traitor. The debate spread through Vrelian society. Some agreed with the young officers. Others wanted Minna executed as an example. The council could not decide. Meanwhile, Earth's expeditionary fleet finished its preparations. 200 ships gathered near the gate. Supply vessels, medical ships, troop transports, everything needed for an extended campaign. Admiral Hyun-soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the battleship Defiant. It was a new ship, built to replace the old Defiance that had been destroyed in the battle. It was larger, faster, and more powerful. "All ships report ready, Admiral," reported Commander Sung-ho, who served as his executive officer. Hyun-soo took a deep breath. "Then let us go. Open a channel to all ships." His face appeared on screens throughout the fleet. Thousands of sailors, soldiers, and officers looked at him and waited. "People of Earth," he said, "we are about to enter the unknown. Beyond that gate lies a civilization that tried to destroy us, lies a galaxy that sees us as primitives, lies dangers we cannot imagine. But we go anyway. Not for conquest, not for revenge. We go to ensure that Earth remains safe. We go to show that humanity will not be intimidated. We go because if we do not, someone else will come through that gate eventually, and they might succeed where the Vrelians failed. So we go forward, with courage, with honor, with the knowledge that we fight for everyone back home, for Earth." The fleet moved toward the gate in formation. One by one, the ships passed through. The journey took only seconds, but it felt like an eternity. They emerged in Vrelian space, in a region filled with alien civilizations and unknown dangers. Captain Da-un looked at her tactical display. "Scanning. I am reading multiple space stations. Civilian traffic and... oh no. What is it?" Hyun-soo asked over the communication channel. "Sir, we are not alone. I am detecting ships from multiple species. This is not just Vrelian space. This is some kind of shared territory. We just appeared in the middle of what looks like a major trade route. Throughout the region, alien ships detected the human fleet's arrival. Panic spread. The stories of Earth's military power had already reached these civilizations. Now humanity had come through the gate, with a fleet that looked ready for war. Distress signals filled the communication channels. Civilian ships fled. Military vessels went on alert. The entire sector went into emergency protocols. "Sir, we are receiving hundreds of communication attempts," reported the communications officer. "Multiple languages. They want to know our intentions," Hyun-soo thought quickly. They had expected to find Vrelian military forces. Instead, they had emerged into what looked like a busy interstellar highway. "Transmit this message on all frequencies," he ordered, "in every language we can translate. Tell them we are from Earth. Tell them we seek only to ensure our safety. Tell them we have no hostile intent toward any species except those who threaten us. And tell them we are looking for Vrelian military forces." Ambassador Yongja, who had joined the expedition as chief diplomatic officer, stood beside him. "Admiral, we need to be careful here. If we make the wrong move, we could start a war with multiple species. I know, Hyunsu replied. But we are here now. We have to see this through. The human fleet moved slowly through the sector, scanning and gathering information. They discovered that this region of space was controlled by something called the Galactic Federation, a loose alliance of dozens of species. The Vrelian Empire was just one member, though a powerful one. Information about Earth's victory over the Vrelian fleet had already spread through the Federation. Some species were impressed. Some were frightened. Some were interested in making contact with this new, dangerous civilization. Captain Daun led a patrol group to investigate nearby Vrelian military installations. They found several bases, but they were lightly defended. Most of the Vrelian military was in chaos, reorganizing after the devastating losses. This is almost too easy, Daun said to Commander Wu Jin. Where is their military? Where are their defensive fleets? Maybe they were not expecting us to come through the gate, Wu Jin suggested. They think of us as defenders, not attackers. Major Sojin's forces captured a small Vrelian supply depot. The alien personnel surrendered without a fight. Sojin was surprised by how quickly they gave up. You are not going to kill us, one Vrelian soldier asked nervously. No, Sojin replied. We take prisoners. We follow rules of war. Why would we kill you? The Vrelian looked confused. Because that is what the Empire does. When we conquer a world, we kill those who resist. We are not the Empire, Sojin said firmly. We are humans, and we are better than that. News of Earth's humane treatment of prisoners spread quickly. More Vrelian forces began surrendering when they encountered human ships. They preferred capture by humans to fighting a war they no longer believed in. General Bo-Ram received reports of the human fleet's actions. She was surprised. The humans were not behaving like conquerors. They were not destroying civilian targets. They were not committing atrocities. They were fighting a clean, professional military campaign. She made a decision. She sent a secret communication to Ambassador Yongjia, requesting a meeting. This is General Bo-Ram of the Vrelian military, the message said. I wish to discuss terms of surrender. Not just my surrender, but the surrender of the entire Vrelian military. This war was a mistake. It is time to end it. When Yongjia brought the message to Admiral Hyunsu, he was skeptical. The meeting was arranged on a neutral space station controlled by the Galactic Federation. It was a massive structure that served as a trading hub and diplomatic center for dozens of species. The station's administrators were nervous about hosting such a sensitive meeting, but they agreed. Admiral Hyunsu arrived with a small security detail led by Major So-jin. Ambassador Yongjia accompanied them, along with diplomatic staff and translators. They were escorted through corridors filled with aliens of every shape and size, creatures with scales, creatures with fur, creatures that floated and creatures that crawled. The diversity of life in the galaxy was overwhelming. General Bo-Ram waited in a private conference room. She looked tired. Her armor was scarred from battle. She stood alone without guards or attendants. When the humans entered, she straightened and gave a formal military salute. Admiral, Ambassador, thank you for coming. Hyunsu returned the salute. General, you said you wanted to discuss surrender. We are listening. They sat at a large circular table. Bo-Ram looked at each human carefully before speaking. I must apologize, she began, for the invasion, for the deaths, for the arrogance of my people. We thought you were primitives. We were wrong. Yes, you were, Hyunsu said simply. But apologies do not bring back the dead. No, Bo-Ram agreed. Nothing can do that. But I can try to prevent more deaths. The Vrelian High Council is divided. Some want to continue the war. Some want peace. And some want to pretend you do not exist and hope you go away. But I know the truth. If this war continues, the Vrelian Empire will fall. And many more will die on both sides. Ambassador Yongjia leaned forward. What are you proposing, General? A complete surrender of Vrelian military forces, Bo-Ram said. We will cease all hostile actions. We will withdraw our claims to your space. We will pay reparations for the damage we caused. In exchange, you will not destroy our homeworld. The humans looked at each other. It was a generous offer. Maybe too generous. Why are you doing this? Hyunsu asked. Why betray your own people? I am not betraying them, Bo-Ram said firmly. I am trying to save them. The young officers in our military see what is happening. They see that this war is wrong. They see that the Empire has become corrupt and cruel. If I can end this war, maybe we can reform. Maybe we can become better. And the High Council? Yongja asked. Will they accept this? Boram's expression darkened. The High Council is led by Regent Tae-sung now. He is a fanatic. He will never surrender. He would rather see the Empire burn than admit defeat. Then how can you offer surrender if your leaders will not accept it? Hyunsu asked. Because I have the loyalty of the military, Boram replied. Most of our officers know this war is lost. They will follow me, not Tae-sung. But there is a complication. She activated a holographic display. It showed a massive installation on a moon orbiting the Vrelian homeworld. Tae-sung is building this, she said. We call it the final solution. It is a weapon designed to destroy entire planets. He plans to use it against Earth if he cannot win through military force. The room fell silent. The humans stared at the weapon in horror. How long until it is operational? Hyunsu asked quietly. Weeks, maybe days, Boram replied. The device is nearly complete. Once it is active, Tae-sung will have the power to destroy any world he chooses. He believes this will make the Empire invincible again. Major Sojin spoke for the first time. Then we need to destroy it now. That's why I contacted you, Boram said. I cannot stop him alone. My forces are too scattered. But if you help me, if we work together, we can prevent this catastrophe. Ambassador Yongja looked at Admiral Hyun-soo. They did not need words. They both knew what had to be done. Give us everything you have on this weapon, Hyun-soo said. Location, defenses, access points. We will stop it. Boram transmitted the data immediately. Thank you. I know we do not deserve your help, but I am grateful. We are not doing this for you, Hyun-soo said coldly. We are doing it to protect Earth. If this weapon is destroyed and you keep your word about surrender, then maybe we can talk about peace. The meeting ended. The humans returned to their fleet and began planning the assault. Captain Dayun was put in charge of the strike force. She selected the fastest ships and the best crews. This will be a deep strike mission, she briefed her officers. We need to get past the defenses, destroy the weapon, and get out. Speed and precision are everything. Commander Wu Jin studied the tactical data. The facility is protected by a defensive fleet. 20 ships, all heavily armed, and the moon itself has surface weapons and shields. Then we go in hard and fast, Daewon replied. No subtlety. We hit them with everything we have. Meanwhile, on the Vrelian homeworld, Regent Tae-sung stood before the weapon facility. He was tall and imposing, with dark gray skin and eyes that burned with fanatical intensity. How much longer? He demanded of the chief engineer. 2 days, Regent, the engineer replied nervously. We need to complete the final power connections and run safety tests. No tests, Tae-sung said. I want it operational now. The humans are in our space. They are destroying our military. We need to show them that the Empire still has teeth. But sir, without tests, the weapon could malfunction. It could. I do not care. Tae-sung screamed. Make it work or I will find someone who can. In the military prison, Minna sat in her cell. She had been waiting for her trial for weeks. But the trial kept getting delayed because the High Council could not agree on anything. Then, unexpectedly, her cell door opened. A group of young Vrelian officers entered, led by a cadet she knew named Kiha. We are getting you out, Kiha said. What? How, Minna asked, confused. General Boram sent us. She said you deserve a chance to see the peace you helped create. We do not have much time. Come on. They smuggled Minna out of the prison and onto a transport ship. Within hours, she was off-world, heading toward the neutral space station where General Boram was coordinating with the humans. The Galactic Federation watched all of this with growing concern. An emergency council meeting was called. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the human presence. The humans have destroyed one of the most powerful military forces in the Federation, said the Keltharian ambassador, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish. They are a threat to galactic peace, or they are a solution, countered the Praxian delegate, a small furry creature with 6 eyes. The Vrelian Empire has been oppressing smaller species for centuries. Maybe someone needed to stand up to them. But what if the humans turn on us next? Asked the Tyrellian ambassador. What if they decide to conquer the galaxy? Have they shown any signs of that? The Praxian argued. They came through the gate to protect themselves. They are fighting a defensive war. The debate raged for hours. Finally, the Federation president, an ancient being called Nexran, called for a vote. Should the Galactic Federation offer membership to Earth? Nexran asked. The vote was close. Some species voted yes, seeing humans as potential allies. Some voted no, seeing them as dangerous. Some abstained, unsure what to do. The result was a narrow approval. Earth would be invited to join the Galactic Federation if they met certain conditions. Back with the human fleet, the strike force was ready. Captain Dayun's ships moved toward the Vrelian homeworld at maximum speed. The defensive fleet detected them and moved to intercept. "Incoming transmission from the Vrelian defenders," reported the communications officer. "They are demanding we turn back." "Tell them we cannot do that," Dayun replied, "and prepare to engage." The battle began as the two fleets met. The Vrelian defenders fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Human ships had learned from every previous battle. They moved with precision and struck with devastating accuracy. Commander Wu Jin commanded a destroyer called the Resolute. His mission was to break through the defensive line and clear a path for Captain Dayun. He pushed his ship to its limits, weaving through enemy fire. "Target their command ship," he ordered. "If we take it down, the rest will lose coordination." His crew worked with perfect synchronization. The Resolute's weapons fired continuously. One shot found its mark, destroying the Vrelian command ship's bridge. The defensive fleet began to falter. Captain Dayun saw the opening. "All ships, follow me. We are going straight for that moon." Her squadron accelerated past the confused defenders. They entered the moon's atmosphere, their shields glowing red from friction. Surface weapons fired at them, but they kept going. Major So Jin and her Marines prepared for the landing. They wore heavy assault armor and carried enough explosives to level a city. "Remember the plan," she told her teams. "We breach the facility, we plant charges on the weapons reactor, and we get out. We have 15 minutes from breach to extraction. Anyone not on the transport after 15 minutes gets left behind." The landing was rough. Vrelian ground forces met them with heavy resistance. Energy weapons and projectiles filled the air. But the human Marines were relentless. They pushed forward through the defensive lines. Inside the facility, Regent Taesung received the news. "Humans are breaching the outer perimeter." "They are coming for the weapon." "Then we activate it now," he said with cold determination. "Target Earth, fire." "But sir, the weapon is not ready." "The calculations are incomplete." "It could." 5 years had passed since the war ended. The galaxy had changed in ways nobody could have predicted. Earth's space program had expanded rapidly. Dozens of human colonies now existed throughout the solar system and beyond. The gate remained open, a permanent connection between Earth and the wider galaxy. Human ships traveled regularly through Federation space, trading and exploring. Admiral Hyon Su had retired from active military service. He was now an old man, his hair completely white. He spent his days teaching at the Earth Defense Academy, training the next generation of officers. Sometimes he would stand at the window of his office and look up at the stars, remembering all those who died to protect Earth. Captain Dayun had been promoted to admiral. She now commanded the Earth Defense Fleet, the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. 200 ships with thousands more in construction. Earth would never be vulnerable again. Ambassador Yongjia served as Earth's primary representative to the Galactic Federation. She had become one of the most respected diplomats in the galaxy. Other species came to her for advice on conflict resolution. She had helped negotiate peace treaties between species that had been at war for centuries. General Boram had kept her word. The Vrelian Empire had transformed. The old system of conquest and slavery was abolished. Boram became the new leader of the Vrelian government, elected by popular vote. She worked tirelessly to reform her society and make amends for past crimes. The relationship between humans and Vrelians was complicated. There was still anger on both sides, still pain from the losses, but slowly, carefully, the two species learned to coexist. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges were arranged. Young Vrelians studied on Earth, and young humans studied on Vrelia. Minna had become a symbol of reconciliation. She lived on Earth now, in a small apartment in Seoul. She worked as a translator and cultural liaison, helping humans understand Vrelian culture and helping Vrelians understand humanity. She had written a book about her experiences that became a bestseller across the galaxy. Commander Wu Jin had survived the war and been promoted to captain. He commanded a patrol ship that monitored the gate, ensuring it remained secure. It was quiet work, but important. The gate was humanity's connection to the stars, and it needed protection. On this particular day, Wu Jin was on duty when his sensors detected something unusual. Energy readings near the gate were fluctuating. Something was activating. "Send an alert to Earth Defense Command," he ordered. "And get me Admiral Da-un." Within minutes, the Admiral appeared on his view screen. "Report, Captain." "Ma'am, we are detecting unusual activity at the gate. It looks like another gate is being activated somewhere else in the galaxy. Someone is trying to open a connection to our gate." Da-un's expression became serious. "Battle stations. Do not let anything through until we know what it is." Throughout Earth's defensive network, alarms sounded. Ships moved to defensive positions. Weapon platforms activated. Everyone remembered the last time something came through that gate. But what emerged was not a warship. It was a small diplomatic vessel, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. The ship requested permission to approach. "This is Ambassador Nex Ran of the Galactic Federation," came the message. "I bring greetings and an important proposal for the people of Earth." Admiral Da-un gave permission for the ship to dock at the orbital station. She met the Federation president personally. Along with Ambassador Yongjia, Nex Ran was an impressive being, ancient and wise. The alien looked at the two human women with respect. "Thank you for seeing me," Nex Ran said through a translation device. "I have come with news. The Federation Council has voted to grant Earth a permanent seat on the Security Council. You would be one of the 5 species with veto power over major galactic decisions." Yongjia was stunned. "That is a great honor, but why? Earth has only been a member for 5 years. "Because in those 5 years you have proven yourselves," Nex Ran replied. "You defeated the Vrelian Empire when they were at their strongest. You showed mercy when you could have taken revenge. You shared your technology with other species. You helped negotiate peace between the Keltharians and the Praxians. You have become a force for stability in the galaxy. There are older species, more advanced species," Da-un pointed out. "Why us?" "Because you understand something that many species have forgotten," Nex Ran said. "You understand that peace must be defended. That strength without wisdom is dangerous, but wisdom without strength is vulnerable. You have both." The offer was brought before the United Nations. After much debate, Earth accepted. It was another historic moment. Humanity had gone from isolated to galactic leadership in just 5 years. But not everyone was happy with these developments. In the darker corners of the galaxy, species that had profited from conflict and chaos watched Earth's rise with concern. They began planning ways to undermine human influence. Admiral Hyun Soo, in his retirement, was asked to give a speech at the Earth Defense Academy graduation ceremony. He looked at the young faces before him, cadets from every nation on Earth and several alien species studying alongside them. "You are the future," he told them. "The war I fought was necessary but terrible. Many good people died. I hope you never have to experience what we experienced. But I know that is probably wishful thinking. The galaxy is vast and full of dangers. New threats will emerge. New conflicts will arise," he paused, remembering. "When I was your age, I thought military power was everything. Win battles, defeat enemies, protect your people. Simple. But I learned that true strength is more complicated. True strength is knowing when to fight and when to negotiate. True strength is showing mercy to defeated enemies. True strength is building alliances instead of conquering territory." The cadets listened carefully. Some were human. Some were Vrelian. Some were from species that had barely made contact with Earth. "Major Sojin once told me that we fight to protect, not to conquer," Yonsu continued. "She died proving that principle. She gave her life to save both Earth and the Vrelian homeworld. That is the legacy she left us. That is the standard we must uphold." In space, at the Gate Memorial Station, a ceremony was held. It happened every year on the anniversary of the Great Battle. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to honor the dead from both sides. General Boram stood beside Ambassador Yongjia. The two women had become friends over the years, though it was a friendship built on shared tragedy. "Do you think they would forgive us?" Boram asked quietly, looking at the memorial wall covered with names. "All those who died because of decisions we made?" "I do not know," Yongjia replied honestly. "But I think they would want us to learn from their sacrifice, to build something better." The memorial ceremony included speeches and music. A children's choir, half human and half Vrelian, sang a song about peace and hope. It was a powerful moment that brought tears to many eyes. Minna attended the ceremony every year. She would stand before the memorial wall and read the names. So many names. Some were Vrelian warriors who died in the invasion. Some were human defenders who gave their lives for Earth. All were remembered here, equally honored. She had found a friend in Captain Jiwan's younger sister, who had come to the ceremony to honor her sibling. The two women, one human and one Vrelian, stood together in silence. "Your sister was a hero," Mina said softly. "She saved thousands of people." "So were you," Jiwan's sister replied. "You tried to stop the war before it started. That took courage too." Far from Earth in deep space, a new gate had been discovered. This one was even older than the one that connected Earth to Federation space. Scientists from multiple species were studying it, trying to understand where it led. Admiral Daun reviewed the reports with concern. Another gate meant another unknown connection, another potential threat or opportunity. "What do we know about it?" she asked her intelligence officer. "Very little, Admiral. The symbols are different from our gate. The technology seems more advanced. We have no idea where it leads or who built it." Daun thought about the warning that had been inscribed on Earth's gate, the warning about a world of warriors that should not be awakened. Humanity had proven that warning true. What might lie beyond this new gate? "Recommend to the Federation Council that we do not open it," she said. "Not until we are certain we can handle what is on the other side." Her recommendation was accepted. The new gate remained closed, a mystery for future generations to solve. On Earth, life had returned to normal in many ways. People went to work, raised families, pursued dreams. But there was a new awareness now. Humanity was not alone. The universe was vast and full of wonders and dangers. Schools taught galactic history alongside Earth history. Children grew up knowing about Vrelians and Keltharians and dozens of other species. The younger generation did not remember the war. To them, aliens were neighbors, not enemies. But the older generation remembered. They remembered the fear. They remembered the losses. They remembered what it cost to protect Earth. Admiral Hyun-soo, now in his 70s, sat in a cafe in New York with his grandson. The boy was 12 years old and full of questions about the war. "Grandpa, is it true you fought against 500 alien ships?" the boy asked. "Not just me," Hyun-soo replied with a smile. "I commanded, but